Planet Eclipse here, and we're doing Ask Jack chapter volume, whatever you want to call it, 2, episode 2. So I'm here at home tonight, me and Matt, who's Matt, say hello.
Hello.
This is Matt, so one of my colleagues from work, and we'll talk about him in a bit, but we're here tonight. I'm going to answer some questions that PbNation viewers have put up for us. So I'm going to get straight into it because obviously there's a lot of questions and I haven't got all night. I will want to go to bed at some stage. But I'll go right to the very start and go for one of the first couple of questions. And it was a popular one on the first few pages, and it was all about cockers, Eclipse cockers. Are we going to redo Eclipse cockers? Are we going to redo E-blades? Anything like that. Basically, no. There's no plans to do any kind of autococker, pump, cocker, sniper, autococker, E-blade cocker. We have no plans to do anything. So I'm going to get that out of the way so I don't have to answer any of the dozen other questions based around that. A pump gun is something that we do talk about all the time. Something we are interested in doing and looking at. It's not really high up our list of priorities at the moment, but it does get discussed on a regular basis, and I'm sure at some time in the near future it will get moved up that priority list and we'll have a serious look at it. But I don't think, well, I can categorically say it wouldn't be based on a sniper. It would be a Planet Eclipse take on a pump gun, and we'd throw all the usual things at it and try and make it stand out different from any other pump gun that's out there at the moment. That's the way we'd approach the project. I'm not interested in trying to reinvent the wheel as such, so it would be quite a different take on a pump gun, whatever that means. So that's for Hobbs, and loads of other people below. No, there's not going to be a cocker or a body. Quite happy to let Simon and those kind of guys take that part of the market and do their custom bodies. I think it's fantastic that they're doing it, but it's not where we're at the moment. We don't have the resources to throw at it, or don't really have any inclination to do it. We like to consider ourselves a forward-looking company as opposed to a retrospective-looking company. So, Fatal, hot sauce, yes, we are still making hot sauce. Obviously, we have a problem that US and the UK have to be different sources. So you may not be getting the hot sauce in the US, but we do have hot sauce in the UK. Skibber, Ether 2 at PvE? No Ether 2 at PvE. But as somebody else mentioned in one of the other questions, Ether is one of the platforms for us to be looking at as one of the next models to be worked on. And I can't give a definitive date. We don't have a set date for anything like that. But just like we look at improving all the models in our range, Ether obviously is due for a refresh sometime in the future, and we are looking at that. So, but I don't have any kind of date for you, and we don't have a date. An adapter rail for the pots for an E-Tech 5. Never even considered it, but I think it's a really good idea, and yes, we will look at that. Yeah, obviously anything with the T-slot doesn't fit onto the bottom of an E-Tech 5, but with an adapter rail it could quite easily, so yes, we will look at that, and modify that. Good question from Matrix Agent. Jack, it seems that the Geo has turned into your flagship gun. Is this something that you planned, or did it happen by circumstance? It completely happened by circumstance. There was no plan to it. When we launched the Geo, we had no idea what effect it would have on the Ego. And we had a lot of debate within the company about where the Geo was going to come into our range, whether it would cannibalise sales from the Ego, or whether it would sit quite happily alongside the Ego. And as it turns out, Geo turned into virtually a brand new line for us. Very few sales were cannibalised from from Ego, certainly in the first few years, and Geo just came up to match the Ego level, so that was really good. There's a question a bit further down that I read earlier today saying, why do most of our teams seem to be using Geos now? Hard one to answer that. I think it's personal preference. I think a lot of serious players who don't take this, people take this the wrong way, but are interested in playing paintball first and then playing around with their equipment second, tend to prefer a Geo platform because it's all enclosed in a tube. They can't see any moving parts. It's something that's out of their mind. It's just a tool for them to go and play with. And I think that's why the Geo and particularly any spool or enclosed-bodied gun is attractive to a number of players. And that's just purely because it seems like it's just more functional. There's less they have to worry about because they're not being distracted about something moving backwards and forward on the gun. Whereas other players really like the feel and like the interaction of pulling the trigger and feeling something happening to the gun or seeing something happening to the gun, bar paintball coming at it, and the Ego seems to appeal to that type of player. So I think that's the two types of players and why pretty much there's a customer base for both styles of gun now. That's my only explanation for it. I don't see it any other way. I don't think there's any. Certainly with LV1 and Geo3 where they are at the moment, it really comes down to personal preference on which one you like the feel of and the way it shoots, because they both have very similar characteristics to each other. So that's that question. Another one from Fatal, quick one. Rumours of 2 GSL bodies. That's correct. There were two different GSL bodies. Matt told me off last time. Matt, what was the one called? It was Luna.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Solar's the one we made.
Solar's the one we made, and Luna was the other one. So obviously not Polar. I said in a Hustle interview, I said Polar, and then Luna. I might have been a bit drunk during that interview. Yeah, nothing had happened. Have we done anything with it?
No, nothing with it.
No. So it's just
maybe one day.
Yeah, maybe one day, but nothing at the moment. So that's just sat there on the back burner. It was a really nice body style. It was
derived.
Yeah. So we based that design was based loosely off the original director's cut cocker. So there you go. That would have been your reinvention of the our E-blade cocker, and it would have been in a GSL body. So that's that one for you. More cocker questions. The Pike, or TH Pike. Where do you want to see Planet Eclipse in the paintball industry in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? Obviously, there's no other answer apart from to see it grow, for paintball and Planet Eclipse to carry on growing. We've been growing over the 20 years that I've been working with Planet Eclipse, so I'd like to see us continue that trend. I know there are, lots of scaremongering and rumours about decline of paintball. Yeah, that may be true in some countries. Other countries are picking up the slack in other ways around the world. So it's still a good moment for us, and it's certainly something that we want to push to grow in the next 5, 10, and 20 years. I'd still like to do this job in 20 years' time, put it that way. Been doing it 20 years so far. Okay, so 155. Jack, at what point in the future do you see a new line of markers, not Ego, Geo, E-Tech, or Ether, being released? How many years? When you feel you have perfected the current generation? No, we never stop developing things, so we don't push something into its ultimate conclusion and then move on to the next thing. Constantly investigating new ideas, new platforms, new systems. So things are being developed all the time, and if we come across something or that we feel will warrant a new platform in our range or a new place in our range, then we'd bring that to market when it was ready. We wouldn't rely on anything reaching its natural conclusion or dying out to make a place for it. So we're constantly developing new things. A lot of things just get sidelined or trashed because they don't work out as expected, or our other products surpass them as those products are being developed. So, and then again, other ones get revisited on a biannual basis and see if where we're at with that technology, we can move that forward and then get it going again. So there's no set pattern at all. There's no plans to release another new platform to replace any of the ones we have at the moment. Full of paint, what's your favourite marker? I mean, this is quite a few questions. What's your favourite marker from a design perspective, Eclipse or a different manufacturer? Obviously, I really like our own products. There's different aspects from other people's markers that I do like and do admire, but I think it's an overall package, and obviously we design our guns to fulfil what we deem to be our primary criteria, and we do our best to make sure that's what we do with every gun we make. So favourite ones from my point of view would have to be one of our guns, and again this question asked a bit, and it always comes back to the most recent one is my favourite, or actually the one I'm currently working on that you don't know about yet is my favourite, but that's out there and that you will have seen. So GSL is my favourite, and by connection 3.5 as well, because they're very similar. But the GSL was a really nice project to work on. Matt did a fantastic job on that. He did all the styling on it. I did the internals, so I did the ivy core for that, and Matt did all the exterior work. So he did a fantastic job, and the whole gun looks stunning. So props to Matt for that. Okay, so load more questions about other things that we don't make. So primarily, I suppose, loaders and masks. So yes, we constantly look at loaders and masks. We'd love to do both. Comes down again to number of hours in the day and what we have to do with them. What we're good at, what we know, is making paintball guns right now. Making loaders is completely different, and if you ask somebody who's ever made a loader before, they'll tell you it's harder to make a good loader than it is a good paintball gun. I can't agree or disagree with that because I haven't made a loader yet. So I'm sure it's not as easy as it looks, and not as easy as the good loaders make it look. But I'll touch on that again in a minute, because a couple more questions come back to something else I want to talk about in that field. But mass and loaders, yes, we're always looking at doing new stuff, and they would obviously be obvious ones to fit into our product line.
There's a lot of people, like you saying that the fan on the laptop.
What?
The fan.
The fan?
Yeah, so...
Sorry, do you want me to speak up instead? I can't do much about the fan. I did actually notice that when we did a test before, and then I can't turn the fan off. Can I turn the fan off?
It might last very long.
No, not hold the table.
Probably, yeah.
Okay. Sorry about the fan. It's not something we thought of before. When I did a test before, I did notice that the fan was making a bit of noise. I thought it might go off, but if it's annoying, sorry. Can't remember about
We'll try something, but I don't know if it's like a large screen.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Okay.
Just live with the fan guy, sorry. John, what non-Planet product do you wish you'd made first? Or any paintball product you are jealous of? I think one of the nicest products that's been designed for a long time, that's non-Planet Eclipse related, would be the rotor. I really like the way that it's assembled inside. Very simple. Obviously, it's not simple. Coming back to the things I said before, designing loads has been told is very complicated. The rotor, the way it slots together inside, is quite clever, and I know it's got a lot of screws inside it and things like that. There are other features of it that I don't like, but I think as an overall concept and packaging exercise, it was quite clever, and I think it filled a good hole in the market. So it's not perfect in other ways, but from a design perspective internally, I quite like it. I can admire the work that went into that. Plans for an SLV1 from TCOW or SL1 of some sort. Not at the moment. It's not even on the drawing board at the moment. So anybody who's holding out for an SLV1 and not picking up an LV1 because they think an SLV1 is coming, you'd be waiting a long time, I'm afraid. We've got other stuff to work on. From somebody's name I can't pronounce. IXI, Paul IXI. Do you prefer a poplar or a spool, and why? I don't have a preference for either. I like both of them, and I think they both work. Certainly in the LV1 and Geo configuration, I like the way both of them shoot. I think obviously the spool came in for us, and we refined it over the last few years and got the Geo shooting fantastically, efficiently and nice, smooth and quiet. I think with the LV1 we brought that up to both up to the same kind of level as each other. Like I said before, it just comes back down to the feel of both the guns and which you prefer, like how they handle, and whether you like the externally moving bolt pin and things like that on the LV. Matt, have you seen any interesting questions while I just scroll over these?
From someone who asked it, but someone asked about us releasing parts to the third party. Similar to.
Oh yeah. Okay. So that was a question from
Skipper.
Skipper.
Yeah. The Planet Eclipse are considered releasing some non-proprietary files open source.
Have we ever considered releasing proprietary parts open source, like Simon and I have done, and who else has done it? J4. We have talked about it briefly, and there's a couple of projects we're working on at the moment where we think it would suit us to do that, or it would be quite easy for us to do that, and would be some benefit to our customers. So yes, I mean, in the past we've shared things with Simon, for example, wanted to use the T-slot rail on some of his products. He was working out a key, and we gave him the dimensions for that. Cross-market compatibility on things like that makes sense. I mean, if you look at autocopper barrel threads, they're the industry standard now. So yeah, I mean, there's two ways of looking at it. Is trying to make certain features on the gun standard across the industry, like the barrel threads, or how the pops attached to the bottom of the gun. And then there's releasing open sourcing files so people can make their own components to go onto the guns. Slightly different concept, and it would only work for a couple of components on the gun, and you'd only want to do it for a couple of pieces. Otherwise, you're into affecting the functionality of the gun, or it's the safety of it. So this is something we have talked about and probably will do in the near future. I can't say more than that right now. Anything else, Matt?
Another one from Walkian. That's right, Walkian. Kate Walkian.
Yeah. Kevorkian.
How long does it take to go for an idea? How long does it take for an idea to go into production?
Okay, how long does it take for an idea from, I presume means from like conception to production? It can be, we'll say a gun, because we're talking about a gun generally, and that's my side of business. There are some other questions about that, which we'll answer in a bit. But we'll say, we'll take a gun for now. and it can be as quick as a year and as long as, I'll say, 3 years. Some of the projects I've worked on in the past, the original Geo took a long time. There's other projects we've worked on since then that have taken from the start to getting it out into the marketplace has been about 3 years. Something like a refresh on a model. So say going from something like an E-Tech 3 to an E-Tech 4 is quite a small relative change. You're not changing, you're not designing every single component from scratch. You're reusing some of the parts and then redesigning some of the other parts that go around it. So that's relatively quick, but relatively quick is still a year from start to finish. That's when that's includes your design, your prototyping, testing, pre-production manufacture, which is what you make before you go into full production, just to make sure that everything that you prototype translates well into a production process. Testing of the pre-production and then into final production and then finally to sale. So all that can take a year in the quickest possible time frame. Anything you start from scratch with a completely new platform or a complete rework of an existing design can take anything from 2 to 3 years, depending on how much you're doing. Like a LV, for example, LV1 was about just over 18 months, going on for 2 years from the start of the project to getting into full production on the shelves. Like I say, other projects have been longer. Any other questions, Matt? I know there are loads in here.
More people tell me about the phone. Here's a good one. Well, could be good. From the Bros.
By the Bros,
Yeah.
Bros.
We've heard the story before about how successfully the first test of the LV1 system was. But do you have any stories of spectacular engineering failures you've had? Anything that really didn't work?
Anything that really didn't work? No. Not something that we made. But when we first started out as Planet Eclipse, when we were actually Paintball Planet at the time, a young lad came into our shop, which was literally just a shop back then, on Deansgate in Manchester. So we're going back 18 years, at least 18 years. And he came in the shop and said, I've invented this this new device for my gun, and I'd like to demonstrate it for you. I think you might be able to sell it. And it was an Icon Z1, and if anybody's ever seen an Icon Z1, it basically, the barrel just pushed into the body, and then it had a little screw that screwed in and held the barrel in it, like an annular groove around the back of the barrel. It screwed in and held it in place. And what he'd done is he put a piece of rubber around the barrel itself and modified the screw, so when it was screwed all the way in, it didn't actually clamp the barrel. And then he'd got a motor out of an RC car and a Nikon battery off an RC car and strapped it onto the side of the gun and a switch. And he switched the switch on, and the RC motor started spinning, which drove the barrel around. So his barrel was spinning at about 5,000 RPM, and we took it to the firing range, and he went to demo it, and the very first shot that he fired, the barrel fired off the gun and down the firing range. So yeah, that was one of the biggest paintball engineering failures I've ever seen, and lived with me for the last 18 years. Hilarious. Anyway, any more questions?
One from Irony USA about the geo, the angle of the barrel relative to the center line.
Irony USA has asked, I've heard that the Geo actually has an angle to the barrel relative to the bolt center line. Can you confirm if this is true? And if so, what is the offset? So basically what it's saying is that you have the bolt line where the bolt goes backwards and forwards. And then where the barrel comes in, instead of it being perfectly in line with the bolt system, that it's angled slightly so that when you fire the ball, it shoots up slightly, and that gives it better range. obviously that's completely ridiculous, and Aaron USA knows this, and I think he's been a bit facetious. Well, basically, no, it's not angled. Everything's perfectly in line. The bolt and the barrel are all running on the same centre line. There's no angle or step or anything in there. Was it yeah, there's a question about our design team as well. John's asked some really good ones, but they're too long to be answered. John asked, what's your favourite or least favourite internet myth about Planet Eclipse that you want to settle once and for all? That's a really good question. I don't know, maybe we should have that as the next live chat, and we have people sending in myths that they've heard about Planet Eclipse, and I can do a true or false. We can do Ask Jack true or false about rumours about myself or Planet Eclipse. I think that would actually make quite a good topic all on its own, so I think we'll do that another time, John. Dat Oreo. Will the AT pipe ever be replaced by a truly internal air design? There's a couple of other posts about this same question. And it's one I get asked all the time, and my answer is still the same. When I'm happy with a design that I don't feel has too many compromises in it, then I'm quite willing to implement that. And people say, you know, I'm being stubborn. Okay, maybe being a bit stubborn, but I have to consider not just the people who want a pretty looking gun that has no hose on it or no pipe on it. I have to consider the guys who need to tech the guns and us that need to assemble them and work on them. So there's a lot of, we're not just doing it because it costs more money. It doesn't cost any more money to make an internal line. It costs more money to make the AT pipe because it's extra components we have to manufacture and fittings that we have to make and things like that. So it's not a matter of cost. It's not a matter of not being able to actually do it because it's just some holes drilled in the body. Doing it in a smart way that means you can still maintain the gun and look after it and repair it easily and simply and quickly is what's more important to me at the moment. So when I'm happy, I'll do a home design. Don't worry, and you guys will be the first to see it, I'm sure. So that's one of the myths, if you like. We bust that one. Okay. T-Cow said, John, I have a question for you, and I'll answer it. Will you guys record this whole Q&A and put it up on YouTube? Yes, this will be up on YouTube. You can go back anytime and watch the live stream. If you just go onto our live stream page, all the previous episodes will be there. Just click on them and you can play through them at any time. But I believe John is also going to upload onto the PbNation YouTube page this whole interview. Okay. Okay, Sergey. How many industrial or mechanical designers do you oversee? What experience do most of the team have prior to working for a paintball company? Consumer goods, only college, etc. What is your design background? So, at this point, Matt's going to come in. So, say hello, Matt.
Hello.
Okay, so this is the whole of the Planet Eclipse design team. There's one other person that's missing, and that's Steve, or Flash, or 7Lash, as he posts on PbNation. And he's our electronic and software engineer. And he basically designs all the circuit boards, does all the software, anything that's electronic or electrical in any of our products, he's responsible for that. So he's not here, he shares an office with me. And then Matt works alongside me on all the mechanicals. So primarily Matt is the design person. He does all the designing of the cool looking stuff and I do all the bits inside. So Matt's been with us from, when did you start? 2007 was the first one.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, Matt started in 2007 with us, straight out of university, and he did a degree in what?
Product design.
product design. He sent us a portfolio with his final year project in it, which was a paintball gun with a rotary breech on it, which we thought was pretty cool. Not something we hadn't thought of before, but his whole presentation and implementation and packaging of it for his project was really, really cool. All the documentation, was final year project, so it looked amazing. So we offered him the job straight away and came to work for us straight from university. Up to that point, it was just me and Steve in electronics and me doing everything, the design. So everything from all the original autocockers, anything Eclipse, right from when we first started Planet Eclipse, up until 2007 was done by myself on my own. So that was all the cockers, Bushmasters, Eclipse Bushmasters, Eclipse Shockers, Automags, all that. That was just me. Ego 5, Ego 6, Ego 7, and Ego 8 with me. And then Matt joined us, and Matt's first project for us was the SL8R. So all you people who thought that the SL8R was the best gun we've ever designed, that was Matt who designed that.
Thank you very much.
And he's designed the exterior for all our guns ever since. And I just do these bits on the inside. So there you go. That's the whole of the Planet Eclipse design team. I went to Manchester University, did a mechanical engineering degree, and was working in Paintball Planet as it was back then while I was at university, and carried on working straight out of university. So I've only ever had one job. Can't really call it a real job either. A dream job.
Based on staying on topic, learning from TCAL about the soft goods designers probably that mentioned from there.
Okay, from TCAL, another one. You were the head gun designer at Eclipse, but are there any breakthrough or other colleagues at Eclipse have made? Oh, sorry, breakthroughs. Another colleague, other colleagues at Eclipse have made but don't get recognition for. Also, who designed your pads and whatnot? Is that you or another team at Eclipse? Okay, so all the pads and all the soft goods. Who does all that?
All Woods, Woods.
Yeah,
and Lee Johnson as well.
Okay, so we have three designers: Lee, Paul, and Al. Al's just joined us quite recently, and we worked Manchester United and stuff like that. Paul's been with us for years, and he's been. I didn't grab the screen back. And he basically does all the soft goods, and Lee does t-shirt designs, hat designs, things like that. But pads and things predominantly been Paul Woods. And not to get confused, there's Jack Wood with no S. Then we have Paul Woods with an S on the end, and we have Alan Woods with an S on the end. Paul and Alan are brothers, and I'm completely unrelated, hence the no S.
And Jack O.
Oh, and Jack O, you have a question about, do we get annoyed that people confuse Jack and Jack O? Well, I was here first, so obviously I'm the most important one. But no, can't help two people having similar names, although his real name is actually Ian. So it's a bit trying to jump on my bandwagon there with Jack O, but we call that before he's old. Any more good questions? Oh, I need to dig out. So sorry about the fan noise, guys. Again, I can't help that. It's my laptop, and the webcam's attached to the laptop. Blame Sony.
One from Scotty Beans. Is it more fun to exciting designing a new gun platform or special edition version of existing?
Scotty Beans. Is it more fun and exciting designing a new gun platform or major redesign, or a special edition version of an existing platform, and why? New platforms are always really exciting, really, really frustrating, but also exciting. A lot of anticipation from coming up with a concept, getting it down in SolidWorks, which is the package that I use, designing it all, getting everything as you think it will work, sending it up to the machine shop, and then 2 months often waiting around, waiting for parts to come in. And then there's always one part that's another 2 weeks later, and you can't make anything work or fire until you've got the final part. So very, very frustrating. And then obviously, 9 times out of 10, it doesn't work as you expect it to. On a very rare occasion, it doesn't work just as you expect. It's a pretty good feeling. Doing special editions is good fun. We can have more fun with it because we have, well, certainly from my point of view, the mechanical side is pretty much nailed by that point. So you can have some fun with the exterior and looking at different design concepts and doing research, looking at cool cars. Good excuse just to look at cars and oh yeah, Menace PbN. Jack, PE markers have quite a reputation for quality. I'm considering picking up an E-Tech 5 as my first ever PE marker. Can you talk about a bit about testing procedures and/or give any numbers on service life, durability, and longevity? For example, we mounted the E-Tech, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so yes, we do life cycle testing like that. We tend to do more of it on things like solenoids and electronics, and do battery life testing and things like that. We do mechanical testing as well. It's actually, if you dig out that post, which is post number 135, and have a read through it, it's something we did try a long time ago, and do revisit from time to time, which is trying to actually cycle a gun with reballs, so we can set it up cycling continuously. It's actually quite hard because so much heat is generated from the reballs, or force generated from the reballs, that any system that we came up with, I mean, if somebody can give us a system that allows us to do this, I'm all for it. But we find if you try and make it in an area small enough that it's not, like a 100-foot long firing range, the force generated by the ball itself is quite huge, as you know, if you've ever been shot point blank. And trying to contain that in a closed system, recirculating reballs is actually very hard. It wears the balls out. It wears out the equipment that you're actually shooting into. We've tried all kinds of things with piping, and basically just self-destroys after a few thousand shots. So it's pretty hard to do that. So what we do now instead is we use a version of our muffler barrel, so that we can generate back pressure within the system without actually firing the ball. And that works quite well. So new guns will cycle for several 100,000 cycles to make sure nothing wears out or nothing breaks, snaps, that kind of thing. And we do quite a lot of that. The main thing is field testing, because at the end of the day, it's paintball gun is designed to be used outside in the field. So we do a lot of field testing, and have a team of beast testers that work with me to try and rack up shots out in the field in all kinds of conditions and all kinds of weathers. So I do tell them from time to time, but I'll say it now. Thank you very much to all the beast testers, because you do a fantastic job for me. And our products wouldn't be half as good if it wasn't for them giving feedback on what they find from their field testing at the pre-production and prototype stuff. So thank you guys for that. Brilliant. I think I've covered that. I've covered that in other things. Somebody's asking about the history of the development of the lead valve. I've covered that pretty much in one of the Hustle videos we did a while back, an interview for Hustle. I think that was actually the LV1 launch video. Very good relationship with both sides. No, that's a good one. So another one from Kevorkian. Jack, how did the relationship with Bell Sales start, and what is the relationship today? That's a very good question, actually. Bell Sales, for people who don't know, are a company in the south of England. We're in the north of England, up in Manchester. A company in the south of England, and they've been manufacturing paintball equipment, guns, parts for guns for I'm going to say about 25 years, 26 years. They were the original distributor and importer for wargame products in the UK. So they had a very, very good relationship with Budall, and they imported all of the snipers, started with snipers, into the UK. They did one of the very first custom guns I ever saw, which was turned into the Predator series cocker with a P block. It was the Evolution, sorry, later in the Predator series. The Evolution cocker that they did, a couple for Graham Easton, who was at Smart Parts in the US at the time, but was an English guy that had known bell sales for years. So basically, they've got a long history in the autococker market. When we started doing Eclipse cockers, obviously when we were buying cockers as Paintball Planet and that turned into Planet Eclipse, we were buying all that cocker stuff through them. When we decided to do custom cockers, they were the first people we went to actually they weren't the first, they were the second people we went to do custom bodies for us. So they did all the 3D milling that you saw on like the Nexus cockers and the DC1s and DC2s. And basically the relationship grew from there. We came up with some ideas for autococker components, they came up with some. For example, the Magnum RAM that they made, we did an Eclipse version of it. We did the LPR, and they did we did an Eclipse LPR that they manufactured for us, and they make now as an Evolution LPR. So anyway, basically I had a very long relationship with them, goes all the way back to the cockers, and when it came to making the Ego, we wanted them to make the bodies for us because we've been making cocker bodies for us for so long, and they are unsurpassed in terms of their attention to detail and their manufacturing skill when it comes to making things like bodies. Keith and Steve, Keith particularly, is just a perfectionist. Stuff that he rejects at the factory there, we are very stringent on our quality control. He is about 10 times worse. He has got piles of stuff down there that nobody would ever know that it was a reject, but he's not 100% happy with it, so it gets rejected. So he's that kind of person. So we have had a great relationship with them, and that continues to this day. And they currently machine all our Geo and Ego bodies, so LB1 and Geo 3.5, etc. GSL obviously have all manufactured our SL bodies. They manufacture all those for us. It's a great relationship. You got any more?
No new ones.
So,
did you ever consider doing a revamp for that?
no. Who's that?
York's Mr. Paintball.
York's Mr. Paintball. Would you ever consider building a revamped throwback gun in a special edition?
Yeah.
Is that an Ego delivery from the looks and styling of the original 5 with all the new internals? No, not really something that we'd look at. I said before, more about looking forward. I know there's that's quite a popular thing at the moment. Throwback stuff's quite popular. It's happening in the automotive world as well. But no, it's not something we've actually talked about or discussed. I think there's still too much new stuff to do. And again, with just being such a small design team, there's only so much time in the day, and do I spend time looking at old stuff and redesigning something old, or do I look at something new and try and push the boundaries a bit further with our new stuff? And like I said, I think there's too much new and exciting stuff to look at and be going at to spend and divert time looking back at doing older stuff. So we're always looking for the next thing. Unless the next new thing is all old things, I suppose we'll have to. But at the moment, I think we've got a bit of way to go. Somebody's fine. Intern one. What's from John? What was non-Planet product you wish you made first? His reply was the Viking. No. There's quite a few questions about paintball industry and what I would do to save the paintball industry. I don't think it's certainly not my area of expertise at all, and it's not something I really feel qualified to answer, to be honest. I'm not, I know a few people have said, you know, I'm a businessman. I don't consider myself to be a businessman or a marketeer or anything like that. I really just design guns and do stuff like this. So I don't really feel qualified to answer those kind of. I obviously have my own ideas, but I don't think it's my place to say. Because there are people that are positioned to make those kind of decisions, and I'm not one of them. So, sorry if that's not an answer that you were looking for. These annoying poplar pads from. Alright, yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. So another one from the bros. Hi Jack, why OLED for the eTech 5 when you previously been dead set against using the tech due to its performance in daylight versus LCD? Are you planning to change the display tech over to OLED on the Geo Ego lines? No, we're not planning on changing it. We used OLED on the eTech 5 for several reasons. It's a small package, and because of the composite frame, we had to make the frame thicker, which means we needed to use a smaller package for the display. OLEDs are cheaper, they're more widely available in a different range of sizes, colours and styles off the shelf. The LCD that we use in Ego and Geo is custom made for us to our specification. It's very expensive. The housing that goes around it, the tooling cost for that was astronomical. The technology, we still believe the technology in an LCD, a transflective LCD is better. Transflective LCD means that it takes ambient light into the display, reflects it off the background, back through the LCD section, so to give you contrast. So that means transflective LCD, when you go into bright light conditions, so bright sunny day, the brighter it is, the more contrast you get, the easier it is to read the display. That's the way a transflective display works. In darker conditions, you have backlight, so you get the backlight coming on behind it and does the same as lighting up from behind. It doesn't take much power to light it up when you're in the dark. When obviously there's backlights on, the display is using virtually zero power. It's not illuminating anything. You've just activated the crystals in the areas that you want to displaying something, and that's it. So it uses very little power when there's no backlight on a transflective LCD. On an OLED, by contrast, you are generating light with all the pixels that are lit constantly. It is a light emitting device. When you then take that into daylight, you're then fighting daylight, so daylight's beating down on it and you've got lights trying to shine out and provide contrast. So the brighter conditions you go in, the worse it is to actually read. So we still believe that transflective LCD is superior technology in our use, because paintball guns are primarily used outside, than an OLED. And in the general scheme of things, transflective LCD will actually use less power. As long as the backlight's not on, it'll use less power than an OLED. So, we have no plans to move to an OLED. They do look cool. I have to admit, they look better, but from a technological standpoint, transflective is still a way for us to go on our high-end product, where we can we have room to allow for the higher costs on those items on the transflective. That's it. Okay.
I found you on the live stream.
Right, so
Carlos invested several times. I don't know if
we're going to go to some questions from the live stream now. So,
quite a few times, so it deserves an explanation.
which one?
The closed bolt.
From Carlos.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So Carlos is IS. This is from the live stream questions now comments section. It's asking. Don't know if you already answered, but any plans on a closed bolt ego? No plans for closed bolt ego. Don't really see the point on doing a closed bolt ego when we have the geo. Really, the performance of both platforms is so similar now that it sort of negates the need to make a. If you want something that's closed bolt, you buy a geo. If you want something that's really quick and easy to strip the bolt out, you buy an ego. So no, it's not something to consider. Jose Lira, why do you care so much about the techs and forget about us that actually pay retail for guns? I'm positive that PE techs pay way less than the full price I've paid for my PE guns. When I say I'm thinking about the techs, I don't mean I'm thinking about the techs who own and have to work on their own Planet Eclipse guns. I'm talking about the techs who have to fix your guns at events or when you send it in and have to fix it. Or if you're trying to fix your own gun and trying to do that on your own at home, there are certain things you can do that make the gun easier to take. Like I said, I covered it earlier about the hoseless. When I've got a way that I'm completely happy with, that I think is completely reliable and doesn't offer too many downsides, then I'll be willing to fit that onto a gun. John Jones, do you prefer playing Woodland, Scenario or Super? I like all of them as much. Each of them is different. They all have something to offer. I was a bit sad I didn't play at World Cup this year. It's the first time I've played at World Cup for many, many years. PWR is good fun as well. The Scenario is just scary, to be honest. Been at D-Day and some other events like that in the US, and a few thousand people running around, living legends, just quite scary. Not really my cup of tea. Great in one way, terrifying in the other way. Hi, Eric. Eric, by the way, Eric Cromer. There's a gift on its way to you, so Merry Christmas. You should be seeing that end of this week, hopefully. Keep an eye out. Don't let anybody get to your mail before you do. And Eric, are all the Planet Eclipse techs good guys? I heard some of them are trolls. Yes, some of them are, aren't they, Eric? Where that route came from. Right, and I think, apart from a very loud fan, sorry about the loud fan. Can't do much about that, guys, sorry. And I think we've outdone that.
Yeah, pretty much well done.
Yeah, so I think we've done at an hour. I think we're about done. So I'll say good night to you all, and maybe if you could think of some topics for the next one, we'll go and see if we can do that for you. May try and get one more in before Christmas. One of the questions that I did see, just remembered, was about eTech 5 and when will eTech 5 be in the stores. We're hoping to have eTech 5 in the stores before Christmas, and we're pushing really hard to make that happen. We've had one or two very last minute hiccups that just need to be rectified and then put in the store. But those should be done this week, and we should be ready to start shipping next week, fingers crossed. But I'll keep you updated on PbNation thread anyway, and let you know when we are actually starting to ship out. So cheers guys, thank you very much for all the questions. Hope you enjoyed that, and if you liked it and you want us to do another one, we will. Like I say, I will do one just before Christmas, which should coincide with eTech 5, and we'll do one specifically about eTech 5s or eTech line in general. So speak to you all soon.
We'll try and fix that.
And we'll try and fix that.